Okay, and hello all newcomers, and welcome back my fellow Eternians. As always, it is me, Emperor AP. Today we are in a little bit of a different setting. As you can see, I'm in a workshop. It's kind of interesting. I have in the thumbnail right now a beautiful shot of another Eternian day. However, it's quite windy, and as soon as I took the thumbnail and started setting stuff up, I heard it, and I could tell that the audio was going to be absolutely garbage. So I ran inside to start the stream. But it is good to see everybody. I am glad to be having another stream with you all. I wanted to start off by saying that today's stream is all about residency. We are going to be talking about what our plans have been leading up to purchasing the land. Now that we own the land, how we're going to be going about actually having people move onto Eternia's land. And I really want to start to develop a plan for that and to start really advertising that to people so that we can find good candidates in a reasonable amount of time and people who are excited to come and help Eternia develop as quickly as possible. As you guys know, this land is completely undeveloped, so we have a lot of work to do with regards to just the pure physical manpower of digging and construction and maintenance. And then on top of that, we are also going to need good minds to help us continue to expand our industries quickly out there, to be able to design certain stages of our development such that we can have as many of our needs met as possible in the shortest period of time with the cheapest amount of resources available to us. So we need people who are crafty, and we are going to be able to, from that, hopefully provide a wonderful experience to someone who would come out there and live, and not only be able to provide them something that is rent-free for them, but as well allows even a small financial benefit from that. Of course, whoever comes to live in Eternia's land will probably have to have their own external job for quite some time. Eternia just doesn't make enough money to support us fully. Otherwise, I would do YouTube full time and really expand it. But because of that, we are hoping to still give them a percentage of the profits from what they make and help to develop as a subcontractor. So that may be a little bit of incentive for somebody to come out and help us. That being the case, this is the crucial moment, right? How do we look into pulling people and asking them, this is the time to become a resident of the Empire of Aeternia? It's a long question, it's a hard one to figure out, and ultimately we are going to be creating an application, just like our citizenship application, just like our sovereign application. We are in our foreign dignitary stuff with alliances. We are going to be creating a residency application. Now, if someone does fill out the residency application and it looks like they're moving quickly through the process, we are going to have them actually fill out a citizenship application as well. Anybody who wants to reside in the land of the Empire of Aeternia will need to obtain a citizenship in the Empire of Aeternia. And as you guys know, there are some rules and regulations to follow there, but in doing so, we really ensure that we have somebody who's there for the right reasons. First, Reichslin says hello. Hello, Reichslin. It's good to see you. Sabotat, good to see you as always. Sabotat said first message and like. It looks like on my side, Reichslin beat you, Sabotat, but I think you did have the first like, so you killed it. Thank you so much for liking, guys. It does help to spread the stream out. Jose Moreno said, what's up? What's up, Jose? How are you? I hope everything is going well in your neck of the woods. Again, we're talking about residency today. We are talking about the idea of not just having citizens, but a permanent population come to Eternia. Everybody talks about the Montevideo Convention in micronationalism, the thing from the UN that dictates what a nation is and the checkpoints that they look at when determining whether or not to consider something in the United Nations. So that being the all micronations generally try to follow this to some extent so that they have the highest likelihood of being recognized by some nation as a nation, some large macronation. So that being the case, when we look at this and we try to model that, one of the first things that they say is you have to have territory, which then we just developed. So we have purchased our own territory here in the United States. as the Empire of Aeternia and are going to be utilizing that for the Empire of Aeternia's purpose. Of course, that still gives us some limitations as to what we can do, but that is our land that we can declare for Aeternia, and that's a big step. That's on the level of, Molossia, where they have land out in Nevada. That's similar to a lot of other micronations who are trying to push forward. We are finally at that stage. But in addition now, we can also do something that very few micronations do, which is have a permanent population. Other than ourselves and my family, we can have people come and live in Aeternia as Aeternian citizens full-time and work there and bring their families there and provide for those people. One, so that we can show this is something that is successful, this is something that can work for people, and this is something that can last a very long time. But two, because it does check another one of those boxes on the Montevideo Convention and allows us to even further stress our legitimacy and our right to some aspects of independence and sovereignty and recognition in that. The Empire of Aeternia says, hello, it's my first time here. Hello, Aeternia, it's good to see you. I saw you liked some of our stuff. Was it on Twitter or was it on TikTok? I saw you like some of our stuff and it means a lot. If you don't know, the Empire of Aeternia is a micronation. We are in the state of Alabama and we have just purchased our first piece of land. This is 100% deeded land to us, and we are trying to create a permanent population there now, which is what we're talking about in this video. If you're interested in that, please subscribe to our channel. We have a ton of information on how you start a micronation. Micronational economics is a huge series that we've covered for a while on the channel, talking about what you need to be able to develop a micronational economy. And we've also talked about why Aeternia is so important and developed the structure of it. We've had government meetings, we've had people who have come and visit us. We've had a ton of stuff that we've shared on the channel. So if you're interested in that, you should check it out. But today's video, again, is specifically trying to help to inform people on what we're doing as far as residency for our citizens. So that way you can be informed, you can see any mistakes that we make, and we can all grow as a community. Let me see. Reichland says, people can live in Aeternia now? Yes, people can live in Aeternia now. We have our land, 100%. We're still going to have to build housing for people. So today, if someone showed up and said, I'm ready to live in Aeternia, I'll do what it takes and I'll do what I can make or whatever, they would still have to have a place to live. They'd still have to have a structure, and we wouldn't want them to just have to rough it out on the land. So we are actively in the process of building that first structure. Once we have that first structure, more than likely I'm going to start staying out there, and I'm going to be continuing to build for someone else too. So if we went through the process today and we approved somebody and somebody was ready and we knew we had a good candidate, what I would probably do is offer them the ability to stay with me in that first housing, in that first dwelling, and then to be able to continue to rapidly expand to build theirs. So we would have ours, and then we would work to build theirs, so that way we could have two separate systems. In addition, we're going to have a lot of different stages of this, where right now we will be developing the buildings themselves, but those buildings still won't have electricity or water. We're going to be actively developing those systems in parallel with building these buildings, these dwellings. So as we're continuing to create the dugouts and start to formalize them, so we can start to store stuff there safely, so that we can start to run electrical wires safely, so that we can start to harness rainwater before we can before we can hire somebody to come and dig us a well. We're going to have these people who can come out and hopefully stay on Aeternian land that will be able to help us make that transition to those different stages easier. The biggest thing we need right now is to be able to have Aeternia become profitable on that land. So we have to find a way to turn that land into a money-making machine. That way we can use the income that is gained there to actively make progress on those bigger purchases, like getting a well dug and paying for that, which is quite expensive, as well as getting our septic tank installed. So all of that is a big ask, but the good news is once we do have the well installed, we don't have to pay for water from the city at all. We are completely separated, we are off grid, so that is That is absolutely wonderful for us. We're going to be 100% reliant on the natural resources of Aeternia. The only thing we will be provided from the city will be electricity. But we are actively developing our own renewable resources and generation abilities so that we can get, for example, solar, wind, water power, all of that out there to lessen our dependence on the grid and hopefully eventually make it to where we are completely independent of it. Let's continue reading. Ooh, Elvidonia says residency has been the one thing that has held me back a bit. Absolutely. This channel has been going on for 3 years. Aeternia has been around for 5 years, and that has been an issue for us this entire time. It's hard because if you are just purchasing a piece of land, let's say for you and your family to live on, most people do not want other people, strangers, even people from their micronation, coming and living right next door, right next to them on their land, or even in the same house as them. Most people aren't comfortable with that. That's not the life that they envision. Everybody envisions, having single family home and allowing other people to maybe purchase plots somewhere else around them. But for us, we really, really want to try and build and develop Aeternia as quick as possible, and this is how we're going about it. This piece of land that we purchased was designed in part to be specifically utilized for Aeternia. Of course, I want to go and live there, and that's the first idea for it, but after that, we are looking for residents. We are trying to have people move in as quickly as possible. One, to make it easier for me to start to live out there, but two, because we want to be able to provide that opportunity for people. And it takes a long time. It is really hard. Don't think, if you're saying, oh, well, residency is holding me back, I have to get residency right now. No, you don't. We have made a ton of progress in the last 3 years on this channel without having any residency whatsoever. And we have had the community supporting us this entire time. We wouldn't have been able to get where we are if we hadn't had that support. And so I'm glad that it took us some time to be able to build it and to be able to get where we are. If all of a sudden one day when I started Aeternia, land was dropped in my lap, that would be wonderful and it'd be exciting. But I don't think I would have had the foresight to be able to know what I need to do now that we do have the land, now that it is in my possession. I feel like I would have spent a lot of time developing projects and doing things that may not have necessarily benefited in the long term for Aeternia. So do things at the proper pace. And know that there are certain milestones and steps that are just going to come with age. Sabotat says, welcome Elvidonia. Again, welcome Elvidonia, absolutely. Sabotat says, AP just bought territory, so now people can live there. Absolutely. That was a good summary, Sabotat. Rexland says, cool, he can build his own palace now. That's kind of the idea, right? Like, I'm not a super flashy guy, so I imagine my dwelling probably isn't going to look very different from other people's dwellings, but we can have a place for community meetings now. We can have a place where you can go and see live Aeternians living their lives, actually developing this community. We hope to have tours where people can come and check out the Imperial Market, not just online, but an Imperial Market right here in real life that is set up with booths and development and with different local people. We really want to have this be an opportunity to show people what Aeternia is from the start. Of course, you all have been able to follow us through this journey online, but there's a limitation by being bound through this screen. I hope that any of you who are even near to Aeternia or who would even want to come and visit should have ample opportunity to do so, and that also starts right now. We don't have tickets to sell or anything like that just yet because there's not much out there. You'd be paying tickets to go see pretty much just a plot of land. But as we continue, we are developing this further and further. We already have some nations who are interested in our Garden of Nations, which is an idea to help us crowdfund for our land purchase and to be able to help to develop it, where we have people's flags who are stuck in the ground, who have helped us to develop, who have invested some money, and we're going to have that placed in a big garden. So we'll just have, a circle of the flag put into a big, beautiful garden, And when people come to visit, we're going to say, hey, look at the wonderful Garden of Nations and all the nations who have come to show us support. And we'll have, little labels for all of that. But yeah, what kind of palace should I build? I do want to have some sort of court, right? Like that's something that I've been trying to think of in developing that residency. We do need to have some kind of official meeting place. Now, I think that'll be fairly easy because there will be, I'll be living on the land, maybe another citizen will be living on the land, so it won't be hard for us to meet. But it would be nice to have a formal meeting place designed and set up on the land so that we can have it filmed, so that we can go out there and set up and say, hey, we're going to, every Thursday is a meeting day. Every Thursday is a court day or whatever, and we have the the space set up such that we can immediately start filming. We can go through the processes of the day. We can talk about all the things that need to be talked about, and then we can conclude that. And you guys can follow it all live, just like you are here. That's an incredible opportunity for us to be able to show you once again day-to-day life in Eternia and how we are moving forward. So if you guys have ideas for that, what an ideal court setup looks like, or what an ideal palace, quote unquote, looks like, please let me know, because again, we're trying to do things very simply, we're trying to do things very cheap, so everything that we do is going to be on the barest bones of budgets. Let's see. Doggo Warrior said, are furries allowed? We don't discriminate in style, I would say, so long as you're not like causing any problems for anybody who's living there, which I don't see how being a furry by itself would. That's fine, I don't see a problem with that. Mike Reichsland says maybe. Sabotage says all people except criminals, probably. That is true. For whoever is actually going to become a resident, we're going to do a background check. We're going to do as much information digging as we can. And that's the thing that's interesting. You say no criminals. That's not necessarily true either. If we found the right candidate who had a prior conviction, we still may accept them. And the reason is because Eternia is about helping people. Of course, we don't want to just take anybody who's coming in. We don't have the infrastructure right now. But as we continue to develop, we hope to make it more and more accessible to people. This is a way for people to improve their lives, hopefully. This is a way for somebody to take just a little bit of their effort and turn it into a financial gain for them, something that can get them on their feet. People who have felony convictions, for example, have a hard time finding a job anywhere because people do background checks and will not hire felons most of the time. So we want to offer that opportunity and to be able to potentially allow for that. I'm not saying that our first resident will be a felon. I'm not saying that our first resident wouldn't be. But we do have to take into consideration that there are going to be some people that apply, more than likely, who have prior felony convictions. And as long as we can do enough digging, find enough information, and meet and connect with that person enough to ensure that that's not going to be an incredibly high risk for us, we want to be able to provide opportunities for people to change their lives. We want to be able to be a nation that supports people who have been abandoned or not supported by the previous system that they've been in. That's all that micronationalism is about, and all that Eternia is about, to a large extent. Eternia, in my development of it, has been something to try and improve my life and ensure that I can have financial stability for my future family. In doing that, we have also expressed interest in pursuing advanced technology and making life easier for people through that route. As I am a physics major and continuing to pursue STEM interests, it is incredibly important for us to be able to support people through technology and make their lives easier. But by that same extent, we also have to support them in policy. So we have to be able to provide support for people who haven't been supported by previous systems that we've been a part of. And that includes felony convictions. Let's see. Doggo Warrior says, are you based and red pill? I don't know what that means. Elvadonia says, that's incredible. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And that's the idea. We are actively trying to grow. We're actively trying to get better at this. And we really, really want your guys' support and feedback. So the more that you can tell us, either Aeternian at gmail.com, either our Discord, or just, find some way to contact me, Twitter, Instagram, whatever, TikTok. We are trying to get as much community support right now as possible. If there's any investment opportunities that anybody wants to take part in, of course, we're getting our metal melting industry up and running out there. We are also going to be, or I guess expanding our metal melting industry, our metal refining industry out there. But we're also going to be doing a lot of opportunities for trade with other nations who are in the southeast region. Reagansland says, will it be public housing or individual houses? That's a great question. So as of right now, it will be individual dwellings. So we're looking at building potentially like 3 to 4 dwellings, where it'll be, because it's 3.5 acres. So 3 to 4 dwellings seems like it would be plenty to start out and to have us have enough people there to really work and start developing. That being the case, they will be individual dwellings where, somebody could bring their family or their loved ones or whatever, but it will be underground. So the way that we want to continue to develop and expand Aeternia is by utilizing as much of that land as possible and being able to build down. So, excuse me, as of right now, the biggest issue and the biggest point of development there is to be able to use the top of our land as efficiently as possible. And that being the case, we're going to be building dugout dwellings where our land is on a very slight slope. And so we are going to actually be digging down into the land to be able to carve out these dwellings. And we're going to make, right now we have our first one that's being scheduled and actually developed. But then we're probably going to do 2 more of those at minimum. So that being the case, they will be very small. They're going to be compact, maybe a little bit bigger than like a tiny house. Something like our apartment, Tiffany and I's, was like 700 something square feet, and I think that'll probably be around the same size, maybe a little bit less, 600 something square feet maybe. That's, having a bathroom, a small kitchen, your bedroom, maybe a very small living room. And that would be the idea, is just, this big open space that can be utilized by an individual for dwelling. Now, this doesn't mean that you immediately want to bring your family to Aeternia, because we are going to be still actively in the process of developing it. But for those first couple citizens, those first people who are going to become residents, this will be an opportunity for them to invest in the initial beginnings of the first Aeternian territory. This is going to be the place where we can say, hey, we can offer you not only this place rent-free in exchange for, a certain amount of hours of work a day, but we could also provide this to you in a manner that allows for whatever work you do, gives you a percentage of the value of those items that you make and sell, to be able to pad your pockets as well, and hopefully provide for some additional food and some additional living expenses. So I really hope that does become an enticing opportunity for people. Of course, again, as people initially come in, they're still going to have jobs. They're still going to have things external to Aeternia that they depend on, but hopefully that gives them some direct investment in Aeternia, and it also shows that Aeternia can start to provide for people. As we grow larger and larger, and as we get more support from you guys and from our local community, we want to be able to make that easier and easier for people, and to provide more and more of the needs that Aeternians have. So maybe one day we will have somebody who has a full-time job in Aeternia, where they don't have to rely on anything external to Aeternia to be able to survive or make the money that they need. Let's see. But that was a great question, right? Sabotat says, one idea I had was to get the Saman people to live in campers to make it easier. That's very cool. And yeah, campers are 100% a reasonable idea to go with. I think that's something that allows for a lot of development really quickly. The only issue is it takes up that space. So it's a thing where if you park a camper out there, you have your certain necessities that you need like covered immediately. But then you have to think, okay, well, how quickly can I actually, move that from initial development to what I ultimately want? And it's gonna be difficult. We're still trying to think on what's the best, but we kind of don't want to build modular housing right away. Or we kind of don't want to just purchase modular housing where we just, it's like a prefab building or it's like a camper or something that we go and set up out there. As well, campers can be expensive, so that's just something to think about. Um, Elvadonia says the housing in Elvadonia is planned to be eco-friendly and made from the land, i.e., made of long branches with walls made of hardened clay and mud. I realize it would have to be weatherproof. That's a great thing to bring up for Elvadonia because that's Aeternia's model, very similarly. So again, we are going to be having these dugout shelters. So the walls of the structures will be actually the Aeternian land. It's going to be dug in, which is great because it provides wonderful insulation. As well, you said they need to be waterproof. That is something that's not incredibly difficult. If you do shelters similar to the Aeternian style, Aeternian dwellings, you can dig out these structures and then provide essentially a mix of wood, some sort of leaf or foliage, and then clay as a sort of tiered structure to help most of the runoff. And that should work fairly well. You may have to test this design a number of times where, you do that, you have a layer of sticks, as even as you can, get that foliage and then get that clay and make a nice, effectively one large tile that's going to be your roof that would protect and would kind of be at an angle to allow for runoff so that it doesn't get inside your house. And then you would want to maybe do that again where you test it before putting it on the actual structure. You see if there's any leaks or any issues, and then you maybe do one more layer on top of that exact same thing, sticks, leaves, or foliage, and clay. Just to make sure that it's really, really good. You can even do like a little lip out extending beyond where your actual entrance to your home is, so that way you have ample room to be able to drain. But that's exactly the plan for Aeternia, so good eye. Elvadonia. Reconciliation says maybe there will be custom. So to some extent, like we're gonna have whoever our citizens are there be watchful of other people who are going to be coming by, but in no means are we gonna say, stop, citizen, who are you? Identify yourself. It's not like that. We are going to be developing a fence for our land, so we're going to we are surrounded on all four sides by neighbors. So what we're going to want to do is go ahead and put up some sort of little fencing just as a privacy thing as well, so that, when we're doing things, any kind of construction, any kind of larger scale, when we're doing our arc furnace and we're, making really bright, intense light, that we are not causing any issues for our neighbors. So, or when we're, having maybe a little small party or something, that we are able to dampen as much of the sound and light and things that we're creating so that we can give a positive experience to our community as well as to be able to develop what we need to. Elvadonia says, so I plan to use I plan to paint the exterior with hydrophobic paint to hopefully prevent water damage. That's certainly nice, but for large structures, I will say that'll be expensive, and you'll have to repaint very frequently because hydrophobic coatings are certainly very nice, but the way that their molecular structure works is, very similar to glue, where they're going to want to bind together like that. And so as your structure, just because of natural changes in the ground and, as your land shifts and moves and develops, or any, large scale natural disasters like big winds, tornadoes, hurricanes, anything like that, earthquakes, are going to crack and break up that structure. And so one day your hydrophobic coating may be working perfectly because it's all intact. And then 2 weeks later, it's cracked and broken in ways that you can't see. And so it becomes no longer hydrophobic. And you're wondering, oh no, how did this happen? My hydrophobic coating. It's just because it's old and it's cracked and it's worn, and you have to repaint that. Hydrophobic coatings, if you're talking about doing like a shoe in a hydrophobic coating, is not expensive. But if you're talking about really consistently and thoroughly covering an entire dwelling in it, will start to rack up. So that's something to think about. Whereas you could purchase certain materials like plastics um, or like certain treated woods that would not do that at all. Or even clay itself will be waterproof if you fire it. So there are plenty of ideas to get around that. I just don't think hydrophobics are necessary and may be difficult. Um, Again, Dago Warrior, I'm really not sure what you're talking about. Reikinsland says, it's a great idea. I would do it if I had the chance. Very cool. Thank you very much. I am excited to see that. And I want that. That being the case, Reikinsland, what is your interest in it? What is the thing that would motivate you to come out to Eternia? And what we want to do from that is, even if that's not the right fit for you, that's perfectly fine. But your experience and your interest will certainly help other people who want to do that to be able to kind of come into their own and to be able to resonate with what you're saying. They'll be able to go, oh, I really would have moved to Eternia if only they had this and this and this. But we did put that into consideration because Reikinsland had already brought it up. So if you provide your feedback to us on how we are developing, it'll make it easier for other people who will feel inclined to do so. Because they'll probably have a lot of the same concerns and interests as you. Elvidonia says, one of the kings that ruled under me has been nagging me about getting land so he can live in it. That's very exciting. Congratulations. I will say it's a very difficult thing. Getting land and living in it is expensive, and land is only continuing to increase in price. So I would say don't just settle for anything. You know what I mean? We purchased this land and we went out on a limb and took a huge risk, but it was the right time for us. We were in a position where, one way or the other, we were going to have to spend a good bit of money financially. We were either going to have to go back and live in an apartment again, or we were going to have to go and live out on the land somewhere. And in order for us to live in our apartment, it would cost us about $13,000 a year. For only a little bit more than that, we could purchase a piece of land and start developing it and living there. So we went ahead and did that. That was a good investment for us. It was something that is still going to take a long time to fully see through, but it was worthwhile. I would say, sorry, there's a big hornet flying around. But the big issue with a lot of people purchasing land is that if you don't have the ability to go out and develop it, if you don't have the ability to actually live there, it may not be worth it. Whatever you purchase that land for, you're probably going to have to spend that same amount, if not more, to be able to actually make it livable. If that's completely undeveloped land, it may be 2 or 3 or 4 times as much as you purchased it for to be able to make it livable. If it's something that already has a house on it, it may be livable then, but then there's also a limit to what you can do with the property, more than likely. If you have, $1 million to spend, then of course you can buy a big piece of property with a house on it that's fully furnished and ready to go. But if you are buying a piece of property that may fit 1 to 2 houses on it, and it already has a house on it, you pretty much have a house with a backyard. And that's certainly fine. There's plenty that you can do with a house and a backyard. But, voice crack. But if you are wanting to do that, it's important to think about the cost of whatever you're trying to expand into. My soul, excuse me. So, as you continue to develop and as you continue to plan for purchasing land, it's important to think about that. Am I buying undeveloped land? And if I'm buying undeveloped land, do I have enough of a budget to not only purchase the land initially, but also to purchase all the other things that I'm going to want to build and have on there? And if you're purchasing furnished land, fully developed land, well, then the story's a little bit different, but you may then be wary of developing it in the ways that you planned initially. As well, if you buy a property with a house on it, you may be buying in residential territory. A lot of the time there is residential zoning that happens around a lot of residential residential lots. So if there are a whole bunch of people in an area, like a neighborhood, that set up their houses there, they may have homeowners associations, or they may just have regular local zoning laws that restrict what you can do on the land. So if you all of a sudden find a nice cheap house that you like, and you say, well, I won't have to worry about any of those other expenses, I'm going to just go ahead and purchase it, you may run into the issue very quickly that, oh, I can't run a furnace out here or something because the homeowners association wouldn't like it, or the zoning laws prevent it. You may not be able to run a business of many extents out of there because of the same reasons. So it can really limit what you're able to do. Even homeowners associations or specific zoning laws may restrict even how you can modify the building that you have. So there are a lot of things to consider there. But that's kind of on another topic for today. Master D-Night says hello. Hello, Master D-Night. How are you? It's great to see you. Today we're talking about dropping AP's phone. Today we're talking about residency and how we are going to transition from having this undeveloped land that we own to now starting to try to search for citizens. We're doing the great talent search. We're doing the great expedition for our newest residents. And it's a hard process. It's something that I've been thinking about a lot and trying to figure out what criteria we need for somebody who's going to come and live on our land, and how do we advertise that to people properly. Once again, it's something that we're looking for to connect not only with somebody who is the right fit for financially, somebody who is really wanting to invest in something small to be able to improve their lives. If you have, 3 kids and you're already, middle-aged, it may not be the best investment for you to come and move out to Aeternia right now because of how undeveloped it is. But if you're somebody who is willing to kind of live in like upgraded camping conditions, essentially, having electricity and simple water and toilet necessities, but not having, many luxuries out there, it being fairly rural, it being something that still needs a lot of development, and wanting to do that rent-free, we have an opportunity for that. So it's just about meeting the right people and having the right fit. So how do we market ourselves in order to do that? Elvadonia says, Elvadonia has its eye on other habitable planets within the solar system and beyond to some exoplanets. Venus has the potential to be habitable after much terraforming and oxygenation. Absolutely. There are certainly plenty of planets that are Earth-like. That's, exoplanets are something that astrophysicists and astronomers talk about all the time. But have you seen anybody actually try to have it make another planet habitable yet? No, it's not that we're not going to do that in the next 10 or 15 or 20 years or something, but it's just that we haven't even hit the first people to do that. The richest of the rich, the most successful in human history, have been unable to do that thus far. So, as you plan to develop your nation, I would not plan that as your primary go-to plan. I would make that a certain step upon other steps that you will eventually achieve. Because if you're going to if you are going to make an exoplanet habitable, or if you're going to make a planet in the solar system habitable, well, you're going to need a lot of resources on the order of billions, if not trillions of dollars to be able to make that possible, and a ton of people. Doing all that will require you to own land here on the Earth prior. So, as well as having rockets and permits to be able to shoot the rockets off and all those kinds of things. So, figure out what steps you need in order to be able to achieve those things before you do that. It may be a good idea to go into some sort of STEM field to be able to achieve that. For us, in the Empire of Aeternia, I chose to pursue physics. That's something that I wanted to do personally outside of micronationalism, but it is something that has benefited me a lot and that I have felt absolutely honored and lucky to be able to do as a part of my life. I didn't think that I would be able to pursue that in my life, and I am so lucky that I have been able to. So it's a consideration for you. Potentially join a STEM field. Ooh, Shane says, hey, Willard, how are you, Shane Willard? Hey, I haven't seen you in the stream in a long time. It's good to see you. I think since the summer, it has been a minute, and I am floored to be able to have you here. Thank you so much. We have our land. If you haven't noticed, we have our land. The Empire of Aeternia has purchased 3.5 acres of land in Alabama, and we are actively trying to develop that. We're actively looking for citizens to come and live on that land in Alabama. So if you're interested in that, if you know anybody who might be interested, please let us know because we're actively on the search now. And we're trying to figure out the best way to have those people live and develop there. And we're also trying to figure out when is the best time within our development of the land to start to take people on. So these are all great questions. Unknown user says, me, hello unknown user, good to see you. TJ says, just one thing, expect in the next 6 years, going down 700 miles ain't easy. A visit from President TJ, hey, I hope when we get territory, come down there and see what you have and better SSS off of you. What's SSS? Ooh, I'm confused about that. But he says, I hope to come down when we get territory to come down there and see what you have. Very cool. Well, I would be excited to have President TJ come down and hang out with us. Of course, hopefully by then, in the next 6 years, we will have a good amount developed, and it will be easier for you to do so. In the next 6 years, we may even have the opportunity to host an event that you're going to be able to come to even easier. So those are all things to look forward to, but they're all actively in the works. So still much to be done. Unknown users, can I join from Germany? And do you guys plan on sovereignty? If you can get a visa into the United States, if you can get a work visa in the United States, 100%, you can still be a citizen, though, from anywhere in the world. There's just a difference between citizen and resident. If you want to be a citizen, you can contribute to the Empire of Aeternia, you can join a government position, you can do all of these different things, and even potentially make money. We're looking for people to help out our YouTube channel and to be able to be correspondents on our YouTube channel. So if you've ever thought about that, you can potentially make money from ad revenue from videos that you create. But as well, we are looking for people for all different types of positions for citizenship. Citizenship is something that you can apply on our website, wix.com/imperial market, I believe. The link should be in the description, if not in the description of this video, almost any one of our other ones, but I'll go through later and post the link in this description. If you type in the Empire of Aeternia on Google, you go to our Wix site, it should be one of the first few links. You can actually go to our citizenship application. It says citizenship, I think, in one of the top panels, and you can select citizenship and apply. Applying for citizenship gets you a whole bunch of stuff. If you wanted to then become a resident, all you would need then is a work visa, some kind of visa to be able to get into the United States, and from there we could absolutely host you as a resident as well. So there are opportunities for that. It just, if you are from another country, it may take more in order for you to be able to get here and to actually become a resident on the land. That doesn't mean it's impossible, voice crack. That doesn't mean it's impossible. It just means that there would be more effort on your end that we would not be able to help you with, such as in getting that visa. TJ says, most likely 3 to 6 years from now is when I will visit. Fantastic. Well, if you end up being able to come earlier, around the 3-year mark, let us know and we will set up development for that. Like I said, we hope to have events that will allow for that. Shane said, will we be able to make a guard and to protect the lands, attorney and guard? So we're probably not going to have any kind of armed guard, but we will be having citizens on the land who will protect the land, you know what I mean? Having people there, I think, is our biggest protection. The place that it's in is a fairly decent community. It's a very small rural community, so I don't think there will be very much trouble. It's kind of out in the middle of nowhere, but having the opportunity to have people there in itself is enough of a guard. It's very unlikely that someone would drive all the way out into the middle of nowhere to try to rob us or attack us when we don't have very much out there. Once we start to put more and more out there, of course we do want residents to be out there to look over our things and to make sure that things day to day are taken care of. But that being the case, because we are landowners and property owners, we can defend that property to some extent to ensure the safety of our property and as well of our people, most importantly. But at a certain point, we can also just call the police and have the United States come and take care of that and arrest those people and drag them away because we are a part of the ownership of Alabama. We own a percentage of Alabama now, which is absolutely incredible to say for the Empire of Aeternia. TJ said, also, I didn't @ everyone in my server and shared your Ko-Fi in the Savant server. So hopefully some generous Savant citizens will also help you. Hey, that means a lot. I appreciate it. That's something that we're actively pushing for right now. If you guys haven't been to ko-fi.com /Aeternia, we are pursuing a Ko-Fi page. That's something that helps us, again, with donations just to build the land and develop it. As well, that gives you guys some incentive to purchase. We have different commission levels that will get you different things, such as a flag in our Garden of Nations, such as special access to videos and different things from MicroCon that other people will get to see when we go to MicroCon in August. And there are a number of different avenues that we are pursuing for continued support. Just let us know. Let us know. Check out our Ko-Fi page and tell us what you think of these different things we're offering. If there are other things that we can add to it, let us know. TJ Toki says 9.6 hour car ride. Dang. I know that's a lot. I will say our car ride to MicroCon this year will be like 27 hours. Like, it'll be an insane car ride. We're going to have multiple people probably switching out. We're probably going to stay one day in a hotel somewhere along the way. It's going to be brutal, but we're going to do it. We're going to do it to go to MicroCon. Elvidonia says, I'm a language creator, aka conlanger, and I'm creating an Elvidonian language that will hopefully become a native language after people teach it to their children. That's wonderful. I'm excited to see that, and I hope to follow the progress. I've seen a number of conlangers come to our community. If you're in our Discord, you should definitely, if you're not in our Discord, I guess, you should definitely join it. Again, links either in the description or on our website. Maybe somebody here can send you a link, but our Discord is full of people who do very similar stuff. So if you're looking for ideas or just to share what you have thus far, you should join our Discord. There are plenty of people who would, I'm sure, be excited to talk about it. Shane says, Elvidonia, do you have a website? See, like, Shane's already interested. He's hyping it up. Reichensland says, it's also good that houses are underground. They make and serve as a hiding place during an emergency. Absolutely. So we don't have like too many hurricanes in North Alabama, and we don't have very many earthquakes in North Alabama. The only thing that is a legitimate threat in North Alabama are tornadoes, but tornadoes are very devastating to small, light buildings, such as sheds, such as, metal barns. And the benefit of having an underground shelter is when there's a tornado, everybody wants to be underground in the storm shelter. But we will already have our homes built underground and affixed into the land, so hopefully we won't have to deal with too much difficulty in that regard. We just have to make sure that our homes are stable enough such that if any trees or anything falls on them, that we will be fine to get out and to not have the foundation of the homes damaged in any way. But that won't be too difficult, just a whole bunch of concrete and rebar and strengthened wood. Elvidonia says, not as of right now. Yo, David said, and I made it. Hey, it's David. Hey, it's our citizen David. If you guys don't know, Young Sandwich in the comments is our citizen David. He is David the blacksmith. He is the head blacksmith for the Empire of Aeternia, and he has actively been making some cool ingots and stuff for us. I haven't been able to share them on our social media yet, but he has been making some cool stuff. I'm excited to see an aluminum melt that he's going to be hitting up at some point. He's already done a copper melt, which has been really cool. And again, I'm excited to share on the social media. But David is fairly local to us, so as we continue to work on the land and develop it, he is someone who I believe will be able to come out and help us. Would be great, one, so that you guys can see more of David in footage on the channel, but as well because we need as many hands as we can get. Of course, Tiffany and some of her family, I think, are going to be helping us out. We'll have David on board. We'll have maybe one or two of my friends on board. So if we can get out there, this weekend, next weekend, something like that, we will have a good number of people helping us to make that push, which is even more advertising material for getting people out there and even more steps toward having our first resident on the land and in a way that's comfortable. So we're making progress every day. Elvadonia says, what is the likelihood of micronation being recognized by a macronation? Well, that's a great question, and it really depends on how many of those checklists, check boxes from the Montevideo Convention a nation can legitimately claim. So, for example, biggest one is having a territory, a defined territory, having a permanent population, and I believe some other ones are having like a certain history, having a certain, culture, defined culture around those people, saying these people are unique and saying, there's some historical precedent for them existing there. So for a lot of what different nations consider in recognition of others, it really ultimately is about money and power. Do you have a territory? Do you have a group of people? Do those people, live and develop in a society that's culturally unique? And is there benefit for us doing that? Ultimately, when you're trying to talk to macronations about recognizing you, you have to be able to provide a benefit to those macronations for recognizing you. If it doesn't benefit that macronation in any extent, why would they go out on a limb to recognize you and potentially get made fun of or potentially anger another nation that would feel that your existence infringes on their ability to live as normal? So that being the case, you have to be able to show, hey, we make a lot of money. Hey, we produce a lot of things. Hey, we are willing to trade with other macronations to be able to do that, to be able to start to provide some benefit that piques the interest of those nations. But the absolute bare minimum basics that you need are land, population, and culture. All of which we talk about developing on the channel. If you haven't checked out some of our series like micronational economics, like how to start a micronation, all of those different things we have on the channel, and you should definitely check out. We even have an animated video all about the basics of micronationalism that you can definitely check out. Vestland says, hello Vestland, it's good to see you. I don't think I've seen you on the channel before. If I have, once again, welcome back. But we are talking about Aeternia's land purchase, how we have already purchased land, how we're actively developing it, and how we're hoping to bring residents onto Aeternian soil so that we have that permanent population that we were talking about. That's another check mark on the list of recognizable qualities of the Empire of Aeternia, moving us one step forward toward that further recognition. TJ's Topia says, SSS is the initials for our nation, since we formally are the Sacred Savan States. Oh, very cool. Well, I'm excited to see the Sacred Savan States and their development. Manu says, hello there. Hello, Manu. It's good to see you as always. Olav says, greetings from the Olavian government. Good to see you, Olav. I hope you're doing well. Manu says, Aeternia road trip to Las Vegas. Yes, we're going to be having that Aeternia road trip to MicroCon in Las Vegas in August, but a lot of money, so of course we need as much help and support as we can get from you guys, so check out our Ko-Fi if you want to. As well, it's going to be a huge, just long road trip. Again, David is considering going with us, David the Blacksmith in the comments, Young Sandwich, he's considering going with us. The biggest issue right now is that it's going to be such a long road trip. If we were to fly, it'd be like around $700 per person round trip, which is insane. But if we drive, it's significantly cheaper, though we have to have potentially an extra day that we just stay in a hotel outside of Las Vegas somewhere, maybe in Texas. And we're going to have to try our best to, I'm really watching this wasp. We're gonna have to try our best to rotate people so that we don't get tired driving. Let's see. TJ says we also have a language, for example. Hi, how are you? Would be Lahey Wahey Aaron Wah. Oh, that's cool. TJ said, I would go to Microcon, but it's a 30-hour drive and over 2,000 miles. Like I said, it's 27 hours for us and probably like 2,000 miles. It's so long, it's insane, but it's gonna take some time. We're gonna get it. Um, Olaf says, why not United Micronations? What about United Micronations? Um, they said it's held online. Very cool. Well, because MicroCon's just a big event, and it's in person, and we've never gone before, so why not? It's exciting. As well, the United Micronations is like an organization, right? It's like a micronational organization that you have to become a part of. MicroCon is not anything that you have to like become a part of or like formally be recognized by or contribute any membership to. It is just anybody can show up so long as they pay the ticket price. TJ says we need a Detroit Toledo microcon. Also at Republic Olaf official. I have never heard of that before. Very cool. Well, so I would say TJ, if we did one in Alabama, would people from Detroit? I know that's such a long way. Michigan to Alabama is a heck of a drive. But if we were to have one in Alabama, would you come to it? Because now we have land, so we could do that. We could straight up create a southern one as well as a western one so that it's still a long drive. It's still a lot for people. But that would allow more of the country to be able to go to a microcon event. Let's see. Elvadonia says, suppose Elvadonia does get recognition by a macronation. Would my empire be added to official maps and such? It seems like that would be the case. Yes. If your micronation is recognized by a macronation, your nation would probably show up on their maps. Even today, for example, your nation can show up on our Google map. So we have a map of micronations on our website. I recommend you check out our Wix site. Again, if you Google the Empire of Aeternia, you go to one of the first links. We do have a Wix site that you can check out, which details some of that development. So if you want to see which micronations we already have on our map, if you want to add your micronation to the map, you can apply on our website and we can put it there. All you have to do is give us relative GPS coordinates. You don't want to reveal personal information about where you live, but as long as it's like within the same town or like area that you live, you can create some sort of declaration of where your nation is and have it recognized on Google Maps. As well, you can just if you put an address in Google Maps, you can have your micronation searchable on Google Maps. A number of micronations have done that. I believe Molossia has done that. TJ says, I've been recognized by Barbados and the US has emailed me but not officially recognized me. Just asked to keep what I'm doing peaceful and that they are basically cool as long as I keep it legal. Absolutely. And I think that's the same thing that Molossia has done. They email the United States and the United States sends them like a little, oh, here's a Christmas card from the president thanking you for connection to the United States or whatever. And that's really cool. I feel like more micronations doing that, one, lets people kind of know that they're out there and makes it familiar to the government of the United States. But as well, it shows that you're trying to do something positive and that you're, not some shadowy organization or something that people need to be concerned about. Olaf says, United Micronations, UM, is an intermicronational organization. The UM could solve macronational problems such as wars, conflicts, etc. Yeah, see though, but I'm not a big fan of micronational organizations. I don't. Why is it effective to be the UN, I guess is my question, right? Like, if you're going to be a part of a micronational organization, what's the benefit there? For us, we make some money, right? But we are not able to do a ton. That really becomes a big question there. What does the United Micronations offer to, or United Micronations offer to a micronation that already does make some money? Are there, micronations there that purchase things from each other? Do they visit each other in person? You said it's mainly an online thing, so I feel like there's a limitation to what can be done, which isn't bad, but it just means that if everything can be accomplished via the internet, why does the organization need to exist? Why can't people connect via the regular means, just through word of mouth and through DMing? TJ says, Elvadonia, probably not. Most of the world would have to recognize you, and the map would have to be from the country that recognizes you. TJ, not at all. Like I said, you can right now, today, get something recognized on Google Maps without having any macronation recognize you. You can just be on Google Maps, which is searchable just about anywhere in the world, so long as people have access to Google. TJ's Topia says, kind of like Micronational Assembly. I am chairman of the Micronational Assembly. But again, what's the point of these organizations? Elvadonia says, I unfortunately can't stick around, but I will leave with this. The national animal of Elvadonia is the phoenix, and as I depart, may the phoenix fly over Aeternia and bring it good fortune. Thank you so much, Elvadonia. I appreciate it. It's good to see you all, and I am glad that we have Elvadonia's support. TJ says, yeah, I would probably come, but it would have to be a few years. Like I said, 3 to 6 years is when I can start actively coming to these events. That's wonderful, but I'm still glad that you're planning for it. 3 to 6 years sounds like a long time, but in the long run, it's really not. I have been in college for 5 years now, and so it is absolutely a time that'll fly by for you, I'm certain. Olav says, would anyone here want to join the Advertising. You advertising, Olav. Why are you doing it? TJ says, I have a searchable place on Google Maps. TJ says, probably not. Once again, Olav, I'm just curious as to what the benefit of joining the UN is, really, over just connecting to other micronations online. TJ says, good day to you, WWNSG. I'm curious as to what that means. But I appreciate everybody hanging out today. Once again, trying to determine what we want for our residents and how we want to continue to develop that is a work in progress. But I want to talk to you guys about it. I wanted to bring the initial ideas, and hopefully that'll help a little bit. TJ says, yay, AP finally got to the end of the messages. I did. I try to catch up. But that being the case, we've come to the end of the messages and the end of our stream. If you guys enjoyed, please definitely like the video. It does help a lot. It helps to spread it out to other people and get the micronational word out there. And it also allows us to continue to know what content you guys enjoy, to be able to bring that to you. So thank you all so very much. This wasp keeps making me more and more nervous the more it climbs around. So I am going to talk to you guys later. Have a good day, everybody.